All right, I don't think I can do it in 2 minutes, but I'm going to start from as far back as I can. My name is Ashley Derringer, and in 2013, I lost my dad to a work-related cancer from being a firefighter. After that happened, I started learning about different people that have went through a similar thing and the types of cancer that he had, and kind of researching it all to find that it was actually work-related illness. So we started, don't want to say lobbying, because I want to be clear, I was never paid. I just started telling people what happened with my dad. He was 43 when he was diagnosed. He passed at 55. The transformation that he went through, he looks like he aged 30 years. And so I started telling the story across the state. And in 2019, we were able to get a cancer presumption law passed in the state of Florida that basically said that certain cancers that met certain criteria were a work-related illness. Now, I think it's important because when I started that, I had no idea the snake pit that the political arena would be in. And I just started advocating for firefighters. In 2020, we helped raise the money to get Nassau County firefighters new non-absorbent hoods because my dad's cancer. Now, my dad was not a Nassau County fireman. I'm originally from Polk County. Not that that matters, but some people like to play on that. But we got non-absorbent hoods. And so I thought things were headed in the right direction. That was in 2020. Fast forward, life. And in January, I was invited to go to a press conference with a state official. I guess I should just say the state CFO. And when I got there, there were no county commissioners there. Now, in all of my experience, typically, if the governor or a cabinet member comes to your county, typically your commissioners are going to be there because it's a photo op. They weren't there. That was a huge red flag to me. And to be clear, I did not know what this press conference was about when I walked in the door. At the press conference, he said that the county was wasting millions of dollars. I'm not putting the number out there because I honestly don't have it in front of me, and I'll be ridiculed if I say the wrong one. So I call the county and I ask, where is that money? How did he come up with that number? And they told me it was in firefighter salary. They sent me a screenshot of firefighter pay. In that screenshot, it says what the highest firefighter was paid, and it doesn't break down how many days that person worked. It kind of, when you look at it, it looks like, number one, they all make that, and number two, that's based off their normal schedule, and that's not true. It was based off of a handful of individuals that work a ton amount of overtime to make those numbers. So it upset me because I was not really paying attention. I trusted it. I posted it. It blew up in my face. When I tell you that firefighters came at me, they came at me. And rightfully so, because of everything I've advocated for. I just posted something that was completely against everything I've ever stood for. So I started doing my own research. I started looking into it myself. I started pulling the negotiation meeting tapes. I've listened to hours and hours. I've read hundreds of pages of budgets. I've done public records requests. I've done all of this just to determine that our firefighters actually are not any further along with preventing cancer than they were when we raised the money for the hoods. They're not any closer to mental health awareness or any of that. It's 2026. This is my backyard. So, again, I started just asking questions, showing up to meetings, speaking out. I'm asking for the county to open the contract back up to give these guys a D shift. A 42-hour work. Sorry, I got a phone call and I'm not exactly sure where I was, but what I think is that I told the story of I got the screenshot in January, I posted it, and by the way, we all made up for that. Started researching, digging into it. Then the endorsements started coming in. I had nothing to do with any of that. I just wanted to talk about a D shift and mental health resources, less exposure to carcinogens, things like that. And our current board felt like, well, I don't want to say what they felt like. I want to say that they voted and they accepted the contract, but the contract that they were given, nobody read the proposed contract. And the proposed contract and the actual contract tell two different stories. You can kind of see what they were asking for, but the union was basically told, take it or leave it. And so, people are coming at me saying, you're saying this is not political, but you're involved in the political part of it. Well, here's the deal. What I'm saying is that my motives and my reasons are because I don't want to watch people go through what my dad went through. And I don't want young 27-year-old girls burying their daddies. That's my motive. Is there a component of this where you have to be politically involved? But that's not my motive. I didn't get into this just to get a certain person elected. The other side of it is that during all of this, I would consider myself friends with the incumbent commissioner. We have different beliefs on the policy. Physically, she didn't believe that they could afford a D shift. I disagree. And that was well known for a long time that this is where we were. And, at some point, what's happened is that other commissioners who are not even running up for that brings me to my point. So one of my issues was that the county spent $130,000 on outside attorneys to fight that negotiation. Now, we have 3 county attorneys on staff. We used to only have one. I'm not saying that was good because he was a manager and the attorney. I'm not saying that. But my comment online was we had several paralegals and 3 county attorney. That is factual. However, they're not actually classified as paralegals, but they identified themselves to me as paralegals. So what happened, Commissioner Martin went on the record to ask the county attorney, do we have any paralegals? And no, we've never had any paralegals. That would be quite expensive. They were it didn't matter. I don't care what your title is. The people said that they did paralegal work. So that's what I called them. Instead of focusing on the fact that you spent $130,000 to fight, some of the things that they asked for were like $25,000, $30,000. Some people have come at me and said it's actually normal for people to hire outside attorneys because it's outside of their scope of work. And my point is that we keep adding to this administrative staff. Why don't you add someone that has the scope of work to do union negotiations? My next point was that they also said that the reason that they hired the outside attorney was because they were too busy. So I pulled the sign-in logs. To the union meetings. Public record. Guess who was at all of the union negotiation meetings? Not only the attorney that we're paying outside, but one that was on staff. So wait, I thought you were too busy to be there. So now this is starting to become where they are picking apart different things that I'm saying instead of focusing on the issue. The issue is that our county is not broke. We can afford to give our firefighters a 42-hour work week. If you do not believe a 42-hour work week makes a difference, I encourage you to go check out Behind the Shield podcast. He literally lays down all of the facts, all of the research, and it's really just common sense. A 24-48, if they work all night on that last part of that shift, they come home, they're tired, they're sleeping all day, they really only have a day and a half where they can function. And look at the research on sleep deprivation. The fire service today is not the fire service of in the 70s. They're no longer running just fires. Most departments have combined EMS and fire into one department and one staff personnel. I'm a little jittery this morning because people have come after my character, they've come after my business, they've come after my motives, and I'm not here for it. I just want you to do the right thing. Open the contract, negotiate. In 2025, the state recommended that departments go to this. So let's get ahead of this. Other departments are already moving towards it. We can afford it. You people that are paid a nice salary, you know the numbers way better than I do. If a reading specialist can figure out that there's money that can be used to support a D shift, I think these financial experts that work for the county can determine it too. So the person that blocked me, by the way, I got to wrap this up really quick. The person that blocked me is not someone running for election. It was the guy that called out the paralegals, Martin. He blocked me because he feels like I'm personally attacking him by asking questions when the only one who has responded negatively to anything I've said on the record was him. And he's not up for re-election. I don't understand. I really hope this helps. I'm frustrated this morning and I'm trying to get it all out there correctly.